Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE NXT on October the 19th, 2016. And well, they started out the show with another one of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic matches, and they started off with the pairing of Rich Swann and No Way Jose going up against Drew Gulak and Tony Nese. And you know, honestly, good match. I like the pairing of Rich Swann and No Way Jose. I just think it's a very good pairing to go along with it. We've seen the pairing of Tony Nese and Drew Gulak before. That one's always worked out, but I like the aspect behind it. It's a couple guys that look like a couple guys that like to entertain, but then also like get serious in the ring. The match itself I thought was good. No Way Jose and Rich Swann win in the end, and it just came off rather good in the end. I did actually enjoy that portion of the show. You had a backstage segment with Dillinger talking about Bobby Roode and challenging him to TakeOver, which it was later that announced that it was accepted and the match was going to happen at TakeOver Toronto. So we're going to get Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger in Toronto, Canada, where both of them are pretty much from. That's going to be an interesting crowd reaction, considering even though Bobby Roode's a heel, everyone loves singing to his song, and everybody likes doing the 10 thing as well. That's going to be an interesting reaction to that match. Not maybe after the entrances, or not during the entrances, but maybe after the entrances. It's going to be very interesting to see where they go with everything in that sense. So we'll see how everything ends up going on that. You had Austin Aries cutting a promo on Hideo Itami about his injury and saying, "Oh, he challenges me and calls me I don't know what he exactly said, but basically saying he calls him out on his toughness, and then he gets injured himself and can't do the rest of the Dusty Classic." And honestly, he even calls him out, saying it's like, "Oh, he has to pull out because of a stiff neck." I was like, well, okay, maybe it was more than that, but still, gets on Hideo for the injury and everything in that sense. Typical heel stuff. He also talks a little bit about his tag team partner for later in the night, and he basically puts a little bit of a hint in there of about Strong and everything in that sense. Basically saying, is it going to be Roderick Strong from ROH in that sense? He kind of gives a little bit of a teaser to that for people who didn't know that that guy was being signed to the company already. After that, you had a promo from Liv Morgan. Well, she began to do a promo about what happened with Peyton Royce and Billie Kay from the week before. As she gets attacked by Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, they destroy her, pull her out to the rampway, and they basically say that the division is theirs, and they're calling out all the NXT women, and that includes Asuka. And let's begin the countdown to those two getting destroyed at that point in time, because you know that's how they're building Asuka. They're having her just destroy people, and these two, character-wise, are getting there, but they're not to that, storyline-wise, they're not even to that level yet. So you would almost assume they're trying to build him up as some kind of viable threat, and it's kind of a good way of doing it. You have two people going after Asuka versus just one, so that you can play off of the aspect that there'll be one person will be in the match, the other will be at ringside or anything in that sense, like what they did with Dana Brooke and Emma way back when she had her match with Emma. Dana Brooke was out there, and it caused a little bit of a viable threat to Asuka at that point in time. But the way they built up Asuka, it almost feels like they would throw them out there and they would just get destroyed in some way, shape, or form. We'll see how it goes off, but in the end, we'll see where everything goes. So this brings us to the second of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic matches, which was it Trevor? I think it was either Trevor or Travis. Trevor Knight and Otis, and we'll leave it at Otis for right now because I'm going to butcher that last name. It's Dejonovich. I butchered it. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. I'll get it down. Like, I hear it said on the show, and then I butcher it a little bit later on. So I'll get it down packed, like, if we see these guys a little bit more, because honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing more of this team, because they actually both teams look pretty good here. And they went up against Austin Aries and Roderick Strong, which was the hint later from earlier before. So it was Roderick Strong. He's making his debut in NXT after being in the ROH and in the Indies for a great period of time. Both teams look good here. And Roderick Strong, well, he lives up to the name being strong, because he lifts one of the guys up in the Death Valley Driver AA F5 position and does the gut buster, that throw over the head and then land with the double knees for a gut buster. Oh my god, that was a good spot, and good strength spot. He's not like the biggest guy, but he shows a strength spot right there with one of those guys. Both teams actually looked good here, because both teams got some decent offense going in there. So we're hoping to see the other two guys somewhere down the road. I thought they looked at least good in their showing, along with Aries and Roderick Strong looking like they typically do, looking good inside of the ring. And I thought the match just came off pretty good here. It was actually a good way of showing off both teams. One of those rare moments is not like they're just showing off one team here. They showed off both teams in what was a rather quick match, but still came off as a rather good showing for both sides. So it came off well in both areas. Also, throughout this night, you had Bobby Roode go up against a local dude, and ended up going over really quickly as well. He starts cutting a promo to respond to Ty Dillinger. This happened right afterwards as well. I just hadn't talked about it. And then Ty Dillinger comes out and attacks and kind of chases away Bobby Roode in that sense of everything. So the tension, just to build a little bit more tension and make Bobby Roode look good in the end as well, in terms of his match. And then obviously Ty Dillinger is able to look like a viable threat by chasing him off afterwards to go along with everything. You also had Nikki Cross from Sanity going up against one of the local females, or we'll call them local here because I don't remember their name. We'll say, or better yet, for the locals, what would be local talent down at NXT, we'll call the Performance Center talent, because they're probably just Performance Center people that haven't really made their way on the show yet. They don't have a real gimmick for them yet or anything in that sense. So you had her going up against one of the Performance Center talent. And basically the point of this match was to get over the aspect of Sanity, or maybe even Nikki Cross in general, just being insane. Which I think they did. Like, she was like biting herself and doing other things during the match. It was kind of weird. And like after the match, where she wins the match initially, she wants to continue attacking the talent, and eventually the referee does reverse the decision, but they have a little spot in there. It's like, and this was great off of Eric Young as well. How well they played off of it. Like, Eric Young pulls her away after she reattacks the female talent in there, and then when Nikki Cross eventually breaks free, she punches Eric Young and starts attacking her again, and you just see Eric Young sitting there with a smile on his face, like, just to play off the whole aspect. Is like, yeah, you punched me in the face, I don't care, whatever. It's like he kind of liked it in that sense of everything. So it came off rather good in the end. I think point well received. They're nuts. Yeah, they're nuts. Well, point well received in that case. You also had Andreas Cien Almas cutting a promo about how he felt. So he cuts the initial variation in Spanish, and you have someone translating everything for him, and then he ends it with him just like with a more vigor and more intensity to it, that he is tired of the disrespect. Saying that it was like, I had to take my mask off to come to NXT, and I've been shown nothing but disrespect since coming in, and now he's only looking out for himself. I thought the promo came off okay. It came off fine in the end, especially towards the end where he goes into a little bit of English and he shows the intensity that he's going for. That came off rather well. I like the aspect of also him having somebody there while he's speaking Spanish for people who don't understand Spanish. Then they don't just go with like subtitles or anything like that in the end. But overall, not a bad promo. I'm buying it a little bit more with Cien Almas being a heel in this case. So we'll see how everything plays out on that sense. He definitely, like, he's kind of struggled since coming up there to get over with the crowd, mainly because of that look that he initially came out with, looking like the Godfather. But this whole aspect of him in the suit, which is so weird to always figure that as like, he's in a suit, he's a heel. That's the whole aspect of it. If you're in a suit, you must be the heel. Okay, we'll go with the wrestling logic for that one in that case. But I like the intensity a little bit more from him this time around, and I buy in more to the whole aspect of him being a heel in this case. So we'll see how everything plays off with Andreas Cien Almas. And this brings to the end of Shinsuke Nakamura. He starts cutting a promo about Samoa Joe, telling him to bring it for his for the NXT title, and that they do announce that that's going to be at TakeOver Toronto as well. So you have a bunch of matches getting announced to go along with it for TakeOver, which is in 5 weeks. But the weird one here is he gets interrupted by a guy named Patrick Clark, who I think we've seen him before, but we haven't seen him recently. So he just gets interrupted by some guy in the end to go along with it, or should we say some guy who looks like Prince, or that's the dress that he had. It looked like an attire that Prince would wear in some way, shape, or form. It came off a little bit weird. And in the end, like where Samoa Joe comes out after he starts, after Shinsuke Nakamura kind of starts, attacking. Well, Patrick Clark gets in the ring. They kind of brawl, and then and then Samoa Joe comes out, and Shinsuke kind of just stares him down, and then hits Patrick Clark with a Kinshasa. There we go. Got it right that time. But it came off interesting. It was almost like he was the distractionary point, and also gets over the intensity of where Shinsuke Nakamura is, where the aspect that you don't have to, where you don't have to have them interact again. You had that intense brawl last week. You didn't have to have them do it again this week just because. And to go along with it, it leaves you looking for more from the two of them, and it came off rather well. Overall, this week they started announcing matches for TakeOver in Toronto. A couple pretty good tag team matches, and honestly, it came off rather well. Like this whole aspect of sanity is coming off well, and depicting them the way that they want to, and it's just coming off rather well. I like this NXT a lot more this week, and you definitely see an upswing on NXT with the whole aspect of Roderick Strong coming in, the aspect of how sanity comes off. They came off great the week before, and they're coming off great again this week. Hopefully you just don't see them too terribly much in the end, but I like their entrance and everything to that sense. The aspect that they come out still masked, but then they all unmasked since they were shown off from the week before, just comes off a lot better. And the aspect that you have a stable in NXT right now, which is something you don't typically see. So, overall this week's NXT came off pretty good. I enjoyed it. That's pretty much what you gotta say, is that it was an enjoyable NXT this week. They did a bunch of things. A bunch of things just came off throughout the entire show. They're setting up TakeOver. You got a lot in that hour. without necessarily, it's like, oh, it's just a squash match. It's just a squash match. It wasn't anything like that. No, you're getting story built throughout the entire show. So in the end, it came off rather well. And yeah, this NXT came off pretty good this week. So that is my review for WWE NXT. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.